to the RunRX podcast, where we talk about all things running. As many runners know, it's 90% mental. So join Coach Valerie and Coach Caroline as we go through the mental side of running.
Welcome back to the RunRX podcast. I'm your host, Coach Caroline, and I'm here with Coach Valerie. Coach, we've talked about this kind of in different ways before, but I know you and I talk about this a lot when we're just meeting. This concept that happens with especially people that are working with you, even virtually, this idea of I'm going to let my coach down. Can we talk about that? Like, what does that look like, and can they really let you down?
Sure. So I think, first of all, until I got a coach, I didn't really understand that. And so it's important because, as always, being the coach
Yeah.
that I've always been, I mean, when I look at coaching or when I'm helping someone, I want to help them with their goal, right? So when you come in, you tell me what you want, and then
Right.
I'm going to help you get there. So honestly, I think sometimes as a coach, we put it more on ourselves. Like if you don't do well, I'm always thinking, okay, what can I do to help her get better? You know what?
Right.
Because again, I work so much with injured people, so I'm helping you get out of your injury, and then sometimes something happens again, right? So
Right.
here's the challenge on both ends. So then when someone gets a coach, all of a sudden you've got accountability and expectations. And
Yeah.
it's funny that they came to you, right? So someone hires me for coaching for their goal. And so I'm, of course, over there trying to help them get there. And then they're over there making sure they don't do anything in their mind to let me down. Like, I'm going to do all the workouts. I want to hit all the time goals. I want to try to hit, so there's like
Right.
there's a self pressure that way. And that's why communication is so important. And I'll use me as an example. Again, I used to be a coach. Well, I still am a coach, but I used to try to be a coach and runner for years and years. So I
Yeah.
would sign up for a race, and I never cared what I got in it. Like, that wasn't the point. My goal was just to get as many people as I could to sign up for the same race, and then we were going to train for it. And
Right.
so it was really all about accountability. And for most runners, by the way, as soon as they sign up for something, then you're accountable, one, to the race. And then the first thing you do is you tell everyone you signed up that
Yeah.
it's a friend, right? Because
Yep.
you almost need something to keep you going. Like, now everyone knows I'm running a marathon. So
Right.
so back then, because I was the coach, everyone was looking to me for, you're going to tell us when we're running, how far we're running. And this was back when, I did all in-person coaching. So I was the leader. I was going to be there to lead the runs mainly. And so what would happen is, if someone missed a run, so this is how for me it started, they would feel so guilty about it,
Yeah.
you know, and they would apologize. And I'd be like, oh no, please don't apologize. Like, I just want to make sure you get your run. So, like, if you couldn't make it today, let's try to see, where can we fit it in next week, or, something like that. Cause that's the worst
Right.
feeling. Not only did I miss my run, I feel like I let myself down, my coach down, and now I'm behind in my training. Right. So
Right. Right.
there's so many weird thoughts that go into that. And so you, as the coach, have to be like, hey, it's okay, you missed it. Here's how we're going to fit it into your next training, or, kind of that way. And performance as well. So I don't give people time goals anymore. Like, I'm not giving you tell me what your speed was.
Right.
And then I want you to work. Because what happened, the same thing. If, like, you go out for this run and your coach is like, try to hit this pace, and you don't, well, then you feel like, oh, I'm going to let them down, or I didn't do something right. Instead, you go out for the workout. Say I send you out for, I don't know, let's just say I send you out, but 5 by 1 mile repeats. Then you come back and tell me what the miles were rather than me assigning them. That's been a huge change in my coaching
Yeah.
over the
Yeah.
years. And before I didn't have a coach, like I said, I would just coach all of us the same. Back in the day, when I was first starting coaching, we were just about finishing the runs, the races, finishing strong, finishing not injured. We never thought we had a chance on the podium. So we didn't,
Yeah.
that wasn't a shot, it wasn't a thought.
Right.
Well, when I decided to get coaching, I was like, I just want to feel, what does it feel like to race? I mean, it changes everything. All of a sudden,
Yeah.
having to send in my workouts to someone else, and they would say to me, my coach, well, here's what you did. Not let's try this next time. It changed everything. Um, so it was a great for me though, because then I knew what it felt like to be on the other end. And I was like, I didn't want to disappoint him. I wanted to hit
Right.
all my numbers. I wanted to be a straight A student.
Yeah.
And so then we also had to have that conversation where when I didn't get my run, because remember, guys, if you don't hit your goal, your coach feels like they did something wrong too. It goes
Yeah.
two ways. So I would always be like, oh, I don't even want to say if I didn't hit my numbers. And then he would be like, of course you need to say so I can adjust your training so we can
Right.
see
Right.
what happened. So we can see, were you tired from your last workout? All of the things that make so much sense. And so it's a huge conversation to have at the beginning of
Yes.
expectations. And then you have to, like, your coach has expectations, then you live your reality,
Yes.
right?
Yes. That's really what it comes down to, because guys, if you feel that way, if you're like, well, is it bad? No, there's nothing wrong. That's called empathy, right? That's you being human. Of course you care about if you let your friend down, if you let your coach down, if you let your spouse or your significant other, they expected you, to do these things, or whatever the case may be. You maybe spent money on the race and now you can't do it because of you didn't train for it or something. So you feel like you've lost that money. There's nothing wrong with that. What I think, and you're saying this,
Right.
is as the runner, me, you really, how do I put this? It's gonna sound harsh, guys, but Valerie, you're gonna fix it for me. I know, because we've
Right.
talked about this before. At the end of the day, you don't care. Like, you care, but you don't care. It's my goal, right? So if I come to you and say, Valerie, oh my God, work has just gotten out of the way. I can't do this the way I want. I need to like maybe put it off, or I'm not going to run this for the speed I wanted. How do you, like, as my coach, like, that doesn't affect how you feel about me as a runner,
Oh, of course not. Or as anything.
as
I
a
think,
person, right?
yeah.
Like, that's what I kind of want people to understand, is when you come in and you work with a coach, they're not like, oh, like you said, you might feel a little bad if I don't hit my goal, like, how could you have coached me better? But it doesn't, if I have to not do something, or I have to come to you and say, this isn't, what I'm doing isn't working, or I ate something and it didn't hit me right, or I got sick, or my kids got sick, or whatever the case may be, that doesn't shouldn't affect our relationship as coach and coachee, right?
No, and I think that's what's so hard is we put so much on our calendar, like on our
Yes.
personal calendar, and then we add the training on top of it, and then we want to hit this time goal. And I just tell people you've got to balance. You really do. And I've
Right.
helped
Right.
I've helped people understand, if you have to pull out of a race, like the DNFs happen. And by the way, the elites, they DNF all the time. If
Right.
they're in a race and they're like, I'm not going to get what I want out of it, they don't finish because they don't want to put their body through that need for recovery.
And their coach
So,
isn't
yeah,
saying, what do you mean you didn't finish? They're saying, good for you. I didn't want you to get
right,
injured, right? Because
right,
we
right,
have a long-term goal for you.
right. And again, that comes with just being open to one, communication, and then looking at, and this is Caroline's side more, like, what does this race mean to you? I've
Right.
told people, like, you've been if you've ever been in a ultra race or a full marathon and you drop to the half. I mean, people always used to say, I'm just doing the half. And I would say,
Yeah.
change your mind. You're running a half marathon. I'm running a half marathon. I'm
Yeah.
not just doing the half. So even as a coach, sometimes I have to remind people, like, celebrate what you're doing. Like, have the mindset of, this is what I'm doing. And let's get you there, how we can get there. And if you miss a training run or you miss this, it's okay. Nothing's going to happen. We're going to get you right back to where you need to be and where you want to be for your goal. Like, that's what your coach is there
Right.
to do. And again, we know real life, and we know, like, again, if I know you, I know your training. I mean, we have a guy that's, I mean, kudos to him. He works sometimes, like, I don't know, 5 to 7. He'll be a week on work, a week off work. So we
Mhm.
modify the training for that. It has to make sense for you. And then the reality is, your coach should have high expectations. That is one thing
Yes.
also. Like,
Yes.
I'm gonna help you reach your potential. And sometimes your coach can see more than you can see. Like,
Absolutely,
that's my
absolutely.
favorite. Is like,
That's
I
what
know
people
where.
don't realize is that
Right.
your coach sees things that you aren't ready to see, you're not willing to see, and they can see where you're going, where you're headed. And they can also see if you're headed like you're training too much. Like, let's back off because I can see that it's affecting you. Like, I can see it in your numbers, or I can see how you're
Right.
running, whatever. Like, maybe you're training too much. So that's where that relationship comes in, guys. But at the end of the day, you have to realize that you're not letting your coach down. You're not letting your friends down. A lot of your friends, I could probably guarantee you that of your 10 closest friends, 9 of them are amazed that you run at all,
Oh
and
yeah.
probably just like the fact that you got on and ran a mile, much less a marathon, right? So a lot of times that's what it comes down to, is you're putting the pressure on for yourself, and you're trying to put that accountability onto your coach, just like you would onto your friend or whatever, when really it's just about you being okay with you, and you DNFing, or you not hitting a goal. And that's okay too, but talk to your coach about it. What do let your coach, you might go to your coach and say, oh, I just don't think I did enough core work, or I didn't do enough strength work. And she might look at you and go, you did plenty of strength work. You just didn't fall enough. Or, you know what I mean? Or we need to do more intervals, or you had, Kung Pao chicken before you ran and it made you sick. so, so let your coach be your coach, and don't let them be the reason why you don't do something or do something, because that really falls on you. Do you agree?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean,
So,
honestly, that's what it goes back to. Like, your coach will help you
right.
stay on the right path, stay with your goal, and then, like, that's the biggest thing. Like, this was the goal, let's stick with it. And if we need to do things along the way, we will. But we're still staying on track.
Yes. I always laugh when we have had members come to me and talk to me about this, and they'll say, like, I've even gotten sometimes to the point of tears. "No, I don't want to let Valerie down," and I'm like, what do you think she's gonna say? Like, seriously, like, tell me what you think she's gonna say. Is she gonna yell at you? Like, you've never yelled. I don't think you've raised your voice other than to say up.
Well, and
Like,
it's
you're
funny
not that
because
kind of a coach, right?
yeah, I mean, I do have a loud voice, and I do laugh a lot. But yeah, and by the way, this is just a small little aside since we're talking coaching. I picked up pickleball about a year ago, and
Yeah.
there's a woman on the court that she's the coach. We all call her that. Like,
Hmm.
she just kind of put herself in that position, and that's where she stays. And it's really funny because she's not an official coach or anything, but she knows all the rules, and she
Right.
has the eye. Like, she can see things that she's just better at it than other people, just for
Hmm.
pickleball. So she'll give you
Yeah.
little cues. I mean, it's not like she's screaming at you, but she'll say things like, hold your racket this way or lift up, things like that. And it is so funny because I'm a coach. And
Yeah.
so, and getting coached at all for me is very strange, you know.
Hmm.
And I laugh though, because in the beginning, she said to me, if it bothers you, I will not say a word. I don't, I please know I'm just trying to help you. And I said, "Oh, of course. I mean, I really appreciate it." And I said, "And you know what? My runners would love to see this." Like,
Yeah, yeah, that's the whole point, because they don't real they and that's why I like to that's why I love that's why we started these podcasts, because I wanted them to see these sides of you, the eating side, the workout side, the injured side,
ah,
that kind of thing. And so it's really important that you, as a runner, if you come into our group, if you're one of our runners in our group, maybe you've been secretly listening to us and you haven't checked in a while. We get a lot of lifetime runners that do that with us, guys. You can pay if you just don't want to deal with paying monthly or whatever, you can just pay a set fee and you're with us forever, right? And we have quite a few of our members that are like that, and they'll drop out for a couple of months, and then all of a sudden they'll sneak back in. And what I love is, you're like, hey, haven't seen you in a while, good look, they'll come in for a check-in. You correct them. You don't say, like, where have you been, I haven't seen you. You're not
right.
judgmental at all. So that's really the other thing, guys. If you do have a different coach, maybe you're not coaching with RunRX, and you went to this podcast because that is something that you feared before. Maybe you had a swim coach or a track coach or something like that that used to make you feel bad. That is not the RunRX way. That's not who Valerie is. That's not how she coaches. If anything, it takes it's like pulling teeth to get her to say anything negative. Like she won't even say things like pounding the pavement, guys. She's a very positive person. And it's because if you keep your mind in that positive reality, it actually does help so much of like, don't talk about what you can't eat, talk about what you can eat, right? Don't talk
Mhm.
about what you can't do, talk about what you can do. And so if you join us, or if you have been with us for a while and we haven't seen you in a while, pop back in. We would love to have you. It's a new year coming up. Everybody loves to start things new in January. So if you're listening to this and you've been with us for a while, we hope you'll pop back in. We'll hope to see you run. And go to runrx.fit to find out more. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for joining us on the RunRX podcast. If you'd like to know more, join us at www.runrx.fit. And if you have additional questions that you'd like answered on the podcast, email us at support@runrx.fit.